27 after 9 o'clock FM between now and 10, and in just a couple of minutes time following this we've got Chords, and they are our FM musicians tonight. They hail from Birmingham, and a couple of days back they were in Nottingham down at the Boat Club, so they decided to come down and say hello, and they've got an album out, although it's deleted, on Jet Records, which was about 18 months ago, so some music from that. Thank you to all local bands who have written in, and don't worry, I've got your tape safely away. Music of Quartz and a track called Mainline Rider from an album they had out about 18 months ago. Quartz are the subject of our FM musician tonight, and the two members from Birmingham, Taffy and Derek Arnold. Welcome along, fellas.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Now, in fact, you're not just the two in Quartz. How many members have you got?
Well, there's three more idiots. Mal Cope drums. He looks a lot like the drummer in the Muppets, Animal. And there's Geoff Nicholls. He's twin lead guitar with synthesizer, mellotron, general keyboards, and Mick Hopkins, lead guitar.
That's a personal lineup. How about musical, as far as instruments are concerned? Is it just the basics of drums and guitars? Derek?
Yeah, well, it's drums, guitars, and as Steph said, synthesizers and mellotrons and electric pianos, and Geoff plays all that.
Now, as a band, Quartz, how long have you actually been going?
Well, as the band Quartz, you're talking around about two and a half years.
2 years.
And a lot of the Nottingham people probably remember us from the Black Sabbath tour. We were called Bandy Legs then. And then when we had the first album out, we changed their name to Quartz.
Being your first album, which came out, 18 months ago, how difficult was it? I mean, the finished product has obviously been produced and presented very well indeed. So how did you get on in the studio? Was it the first time you'd actually been into recording?
No, we've all recorded with different bands for a long time, I mean, Sprite, the lead guitarist, Mick Hopkins at one time was with Cat Stevens, But, we've done a lot of recording.
We've done a lot of singles, but this is our first album. But I don't know whether you know, obviously you haven't read this, but Tony Iommi out of Black Sabbath, he produced it for us. And he gave us a lot of help, because he's been in there for how many years? 10 years now, isn't it? 10 years.
Obviously a lot of name dropping going on. We've had Cat Stevens dropped and we've had Black Sabbath. Do you feel that, you've been connected with band members from Cat Stevens, etc., that influences crop up
within the band from that?
Well, I'm going to be even more flash. When we were in Copenhagen last year, we went to see Cat in his studios, his own studios, and he chucked us out because we were drinking too much wine.
All these connections you have, Quartz, to some people may mean something. You have one album out.
To a hell of a lot of people, it means nothing.
Right. Does that tend to frustrate you somewhat? If you think you've got the talent there, and from what we've heard, you've obviously got something. It's the same old story for many musicians, surely.
Yeah, well, when we did the album, you see, we had an awful lot of money spent on us recording-wise and things like that. The album comes out, and basically we changed our name about the same time, or perhaps just a little bit before the album. We'd already played to like 60,000 kids on the Sabbath tour under the name of Bandy Legs. So when the album came out, the name had been changed. When we signed the contract, we were expecting coverage on the change of the name and all this lot. So we had a lot of money spent on the album and no money spent on promotion. There's a lot of kids didn't know who would have bought the album, like, you know. I mean,
I don't know. In those days, we always used to think, oh, Bandy Legs, that's a really kind of thing. It's you know, Quartz is better. It's Quartz is the name of a rock, and it's, you know, but whether it was a good thing, whether it was a bad thing, but we ain't going to change it back to Bandy Legs. I'll tell you what frustrates me is not the people who we play to. We can't get them off the backsides and have a good night, then we're at fault, because they paid the money to come and be entertained. But it's the people, idiots, who are in chairs in London, all these recording companies and places like that, who like, because they got a headache, they can control millions of pounds, and they're idiots. That's what frustrates a lot of people in bands. When you got to go down and try and talk common sense to a guy who's got an IQ around about 3,000, but an idiot.
Now, you're with Jet Records, so you're in a very good position.
We were.
We'll find out why.
God bless them.
You were in a good position as far as an album was concerned with Jet Records, a fairly powerful company. How did you manage to deal that then?
We're going to name drop again, aren't we?
How did we originally get the contract? Basically, it was through Bev Bevenet. Bev Bevenet, hello. He's a good friend, right? You know, we were looking for a deal, and Bev said...
I'm going to name drop again. Sprite was... that's Mickey Hopkins, the lead guitarist. He was with Jeff Lynne, the Idol race. That's Jeff Lynne, hello.
So yours, in a certain sense, was through the back door, through friends that you knew. You didn't have it so difficult.
That's the usual way with deals. It's just, you know, it's a deal. You know, all of a sudden you say Bev or anybody, we want a deal. We got numbers we think could become a nice album. Can you get us an introduction? You know, instead of the usual man, and knock on the door, leave a tape, and then somebody else is recording your numbers on the tape. And instead of like the first door has been opened, you've got the introduction, and then it's your music. It takes it whether they're going to spend some money and put it on an album. Like.
Well, that introduction came together in the form of an album simply called Quartz by the band of the same name. You've got a number of tracks which I shall say all are good. What a creep, since you've been name dropping, I'll have my own go. We'll hear a track now called Round and Round, or Around and Around to give it its full title. Tell us a little about that.
We were talking before we come on the air, like this place apparently got some ghosts. Well, we're into that air band, and also we're into Nostradamus, and we're into all things like that. And if you listen to the words of this song, Around and Around, you'll soon find out what it's all about. You know, I'm just looking around for these ghosts. Come on out.
When I look into your face, I see the danger in your eyes. You lose, turn to stone. Snakes upon the Gorgon's head. I turned to run away instead. My body felt so cold. I hit the ground still in a haze. I opened my eyes to realize
Geeks FM musician chatting to two members from the band Quartz. They're Taff Taylor and Derek Arnold from Birmingham. That's a track called Around and Around from an album which came out about 18 months ago. And while it was playing, in fact, these two name droppers, Taff and Derek, were telling me that, in fact, the album is starting to sell fairly well in America, which has got to be a good sign, yeah?
Well, the thing is, it hasn't been released in America. There's a lot of talk in England about a remix and adding a couple of new numbers and obviously taking a couple of numbers off the album because it's like a really different market over there. And apparently friends of ours, we're not going to name drop again, come back and say, oh, guys have got your album over there. And so we found out the different places out of it. And it's being exported over there, which is great, you know.
You're not going to try and tell me it's being bootlegged, are you?
Well, even if it gets bootlegged, they're going to hear about the name of the band, aren't they? You know?
Well, it seems to me Quartz are certainly on that ladder of success, going up a few rungs as well. Do you feel that, you know, what is happening to you is at last coming, you know, together? Is it what you originally wanted?
Yeah, it's definitely coming together, you know, but it's taken a long, long time, you know, to get the chemistry right. Agency, management, recording-wise, everything. It's took a long, long time to get right. Even now, we haven't quite got the recording side right.
Anybody can go out, you know, you can go down to London tomorrow and get a Mickey Mouse deal. But like a Mickey Mouse deal only lasts for 5 minutes. And that's it, you know. I said Mickey Mouse, not Mickey Most.
And talking about deals, we mentioned that you were with Jet Records. You're not now. Why is that? What happened?
Well, I'm going to say this. It means I've said everything else. Because I don't think he agrees with me, Derek. But I think we got too heavy for their label. Because when we first joined it with Jet Records, we were doing a show which got a lot of commercial material, you know, heading for singles stuff, you know, and top 20, which really isn't ag. But obviously we're going to have to turn to that to even get a deal in England, at least. But I think we just got too heavy for the band, the label rather, you know, the way they were trying to project us. You know.
But currently you've got a new album in the making, of which we've got hold of a track. So have you got a deal going at the moment?
We've got a lot of irons in the fire. You know, well, Derek knows more about me because he's been up and down London a lot more than I don't want to go down there, you know.
So the album slowly come together, but who's financing that if you haven't got a record label?
We've been financing part of it ourselves and working at it from that way, from that angle. We're not committing ourselves to anybody yet until we get the right thing.
I was just going to name drop then.
Please do.
Jethro Tully and Anderson, you know, we got ties with that guy.
Robin Black.
Robin Black, he does all, he got their own studio, you know, and we're doing a deal there, well, hoping to, whether it comes off, we don't know. But it's still in very early days. We've got the material. And it'll be a good album. We're really pleased, excited about it, you know.
Well, a track from that in just a second to see how excited you should be. I know you've got television coming up next week with that BBC programme, Look Here.
On the 27th. It's a good thing because we got a good name locally around Birmingham, and it's supposed to be a local regional show where, you know, they have all local bands. They had Gaffer, which is a Nottingham band, and they were there on the same day as us. And I've amended the truck broke down.
Right, well, television, an album coming up, that's great. We're going to play a track to wind up Taff and Derek. What's it called?
Can't Say No to You.
Can't Say No to You. Anything you can tell us about that? How did it come together?
Just the way everything else comes together, you know. Geoff again comes up with a good hook line and we bash it around and it comes out that what you're going to listen to now.
Taff Taylor, Derek Arnold, I hope it does come together for Quartz. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Nottingham. Thank you very much.
See through a stranger's eyes, you never see the same.
Not bad stuff, huh? That's Derek and Taff from Birmingham. They came all the way to do the Boat Club. Hope you enjoyed them if you saw them down there. Some excellent stuff as well. And that's one of their new numbers, which might just be coming out on an album once they get somebody to back them. They're having it tough at the moment. Can't Say No to You is the title of the song. It's 11 minutes to 10 o'clock on FM. And coming up on our FM interview in the not-too-distant future, Kevin Coyne, the Enids, Mick Kaminsky from ELO fame, and now with Violinsky, his own band which he set up, and that's a 5-piece band. Ian Gom and Deke Leonard from Man, who were around in the late 60s, come early 70s. He's now gone out on his own solo thing, and you can hear what he's doing.